Well, cool. So is Richard here? Do y'all want to get started?
Yeah.
I am in the room. What's up,
Hello,
McMillan?
Richard.
Long time no
I
see. You're looking good.
long time.
You look younger
Thank
than the
you. You
last time
too,
I saw
sir.
you.
Well, I am a bit younger. Yeah, it's
Well
amazing.
played.
Time
Well
moves.
played.
Time moves at a different pace here.
How's the farm?
Great. Yeah, very good. Yeah, great to see you, man. I
I'm
wrote a little bit of intro for you, and I'm gonna get a little bit of introduction going on, and then I got a few
that's pretty
questions for
nerdy.
you.
That's pretty nerdy of you. Um,
Yeah, I
well
I got
played. Well
nothing.
played. um, let's
Cool.
see. I put the top on my tea because I was just about to like take a drink and the top was going to come off and create disaster, but I averted that. I think I got that going on. I think I pressed the rest of the buttons here, and I think yeah, nice to see everybody here. Getting warmed up for season 14.
Looks like a good turnout here.
Yeah, so far so good.
Good.
All right, so you may turn over the floor to you and you do your thing.
Yeah, that
Okay.
sounds good. I've got a little intro here, and then we'll get into some questions. Sound good to you?
Do I need to intro you to this group?
No, no, no.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Autonomy Quest. Chris McMillan is going to be, he's not shadow hosting tonight. He's actually going to interview me. He's from season 1. He, back in the day, he used to travel all over Europe. He taught English as a second language. He might have done a little bartending. He presently lives in Texas, and he's been through many, many seasons of autonomy, and he has left a legacy of excellence everywhere he goes. And I'm very pleased to see him tonight. And now I turn over the floor to Chris.
That's a hard act to follow, Richard.
I
Thank you
forgot
very
to say
much for
this.
that.
I taught Chris, he was one of the first people I taught how to do interviews that you guys learn how to do in autonomy. And he went out there right away after he did his dojo exercises diligently. He's like, I got this. His first ask for an interview out there was James Corbett. He landed that. He nailed that. Next thing you know, I see John McAfee and Chris McMillan doing an interview together. And I was like, wow. And that was, of course, before he didn't Epstein himself. So well played, Chris. You really, started off and you continue to evolve. And I'm very proud of you and your development along the way. And now you can have the floor back.
I appreciate that, Richard. Yeah, it was good times back then. So, as Richard said, my name's Chris McMillan. I'm a season 1 graduate. When I was a member of the Tragedy and Hope community back in 2018, 2019, Richard sent out an email about this course that he's starting, and I jumped at the opportunity to join, and I did. This was spring of 2019. And Richard is, as most of you know, he's your host and navigator. He's Leah, asked me tonight. I've been given the honor and rare opportunity to throw a few questions at him to help you guys kind of get to know him better in a bit about his journey and get a more in-depth idea of what this is all about. I can vouch that if my life in 2025, right now, 6 years later since the Autonomy Season 1 started, most of the best things about my life right now would not be possible without autonomy. In season 1, Richard's going to teach you this phrase, spoiler alert, called that says our potential is immense. Now, at the time when he was first saying that, I liked it. I thought it was a cool thing to hear, but the true meaning of it didn't really sink in at the time. But over time, I did grow to realize just how true and powerful that really is. So, yeah, I'm here with Richard Grove tonight, and I want to thank all of you truly for coming in here. I know for some of you, just being here is a step. We value your time. We really do. Time is the most valuable resource, and we completely respect that. So, Richard, yeah, how you doing, man? First question.
Uh,
You ready?
I'm
I'm
doing
gonna throw it
wonderfully
at you.
well. I'm doing wonderfully well. You got to wait for me to answer. Yeah, thank you for asking. And I learned that from Zig Ziglar. You'll hear him later in the course. He's such a nice guy and had such a good temperament. I said, that's what I'm going to start modeling myself after. And that was like 30 years ago. But go ahead with your first question.
Take everyone through your journey from your days of doing the peace revolution to tragedy and hope to what you've been missing and how all of that accumulated and led up to your decision to get the autonomy course going and started.
Well, once upon a time, I did a podcast a long time before autonomy. It was a peace revolution. and I could search and find episode 8. It was called Parrhesia, the need for a comprehensive conscious curriculum. And I'm not going to do that because you can use your visualization skills. So I was laying out an education on they, them, those who can easily be named. Here's all the artifacts and references for each episode. And it's really digging into history and organizing it such that people could understand the big picture. So I read a lot of books. Sometimes I would read into the record, but mostly I was finding media that accompanied what I was learning about. And then when I had enough content on an episode, I'd put it into a Peace Revolution episode. So the episode I just showed you, what is that? Let's see. 18 hours. That's not my longest episode, and you're not supposed to listen to it all at once. So people who had truck driving jobs, people who were traveling, people who were out running, people working in the garden, they like light, long form content because then they don't have to reach for their device and get it dirty. Painters, all these types of people. So I grew an audience over the, past almost 20 years. It's like technically like 19 and a half right now of people who appreciated truth, evidence, artifacts without a whole lot of opinionated commentary. I would do objective logic and reason, but it's not about my opinion. It's not really about what I think. It's about the evidence that exists and laying that out for people in a way that they could understand it, that they could think about it, that they could really get the education that they deserved. And I figured people who could press play back then, they deserved that level of education that I could deliver based on the history, the forensic history of who did what when to undermine our freedom and why is it so messed up today. So that entire library, I don't know, it could be 1,000 hours. I never summed it up, but it's 93 episodes and some of them are as long as 20 hours. So people who are active listeners, play it at 2x speed, catch up. It's a great education. The first couple episodes, the $1 million education, I think was the first or second episode. And that really teaches people like the basics of how to learn. But I also did Peace Revolution episode 23, how to free your mind, the lost tools of learning. And that one right there, if someone has not listened to a Peace Revolution episode, it's not the sample of the rest of the episodes. You could listen to episode 29, Diamonds, the Jewel of Denial, and that would give you a good sample of what the whole podcast series is. But people usually need like direction from a friend, where to jump in. Why would I want to listen to something that's that long? There's a lot of short clips I could take in. Why do I want to do long form attention focus? Why do I want to train my brain to take in bigger and bigger pieces of content and information? And over the years, if I go over to my history blueprint, if I type in Peace Revolution, I'll cheat and do Peace Rev. So I started the podcast in 2009 to present, and I did a podcast prior to that called 9/11 Synchronicity as part of Peace Revolution. Here's that Diamonds episode. It's episode 27, by the way. But you might like number 38, the High Cabal, or any number of them. But this one right here, these 5 episodes, 41 through 45. So hour 1 of the Ultimate History Lesson with John Taylor Gatto is hour 1 is 41, hour 2 is 42, hour 3 is 43, etc. So I made sure to line up the podcast episodes so when people want that longer commentary, and this is probably 15 hours between these episodes, probably, they have that opportunity. Or to round out, I got to the point where I was learning. So episode 93, the last Peace Revolution episode I did before I put it on hiatus. It was on the history and evolution of libertarian philosophy. So it's like a 20-hour episode, and it gives all this freedom thinking, where to come from, who wrote the books, when did it evolve, these sort of things. And I thought episode 94, it's part one of a two-part episode. So episode 94 is the practical applications of what you learn in episode 93. Autonomy is a practical application of episode 93 from Peace Revolution. And it became such a thing that I haven't had time to go back and make more Peace Revolution. And then during the autonomy years, it was early, like November 2020, and we launched the Grand Theft World podcast, which is my, present day Sunday night 7-hour adventure into the week's news juxtaposed to historical views, so people can understand and come to better, reasons, judgments, actions in their life. But does that answer your question to your satisfaction, sir?
Very much so. I can vouch. It was John Taylor Gatto. I was exploring his work, and that's how I found you. I remember watching the Ultimate History lesson, and I was going, "Who is this young guy? He's like my age, better looking and smart, and he knows his stuff." I'm like, "Man, what is this guy going on about?" And that was what led to the Peace Revolution. And that literally, something just really moved me. I didn't understand everything I was hearing, but I knew I was onto something much bigger than myself, and that's when I joined the Tragedy and Hope community. And then the Autonomy ultimately joined Autonomy. That was spring of 2019. I don't remember when you sent the email out when you started planning it. Would that have been the end of 2018?
No, November 2018 is when I sent out first word, and I'm like, if there's enough people interested, I'll make the thing. And then within a year of that, I had so much interest, and so I don't know if you got the 2018 or the 2019 offers, but you were early on, and you helped to produce the Ultimate History Lesson with John Taylor Gatto. Aren't you listed as a producer in that Ultimate History Lesson? I thought so.
No, that was
There's a
yeah,
lot
that
of
was
Tragedy and
before.
Hope subscribers back in the day who helped out. I consider you a associate producer on that project. There you go.
That's
It's
true.
not
I
on the
was a Treasury
DVD.
and Hope yeah,
Yeah.
member. That's true.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because I did the whole fundraise to do that interview from the Tragedy and Hope community. I'm like, hey, we'd like to interview Gatto, but we don't have $1,500 to pay for his plane ticket and his hotel room and whatever else was coming with his. He didn't have a rider, but he's like, here's what I'll need, you know. And I said yes, and she was like, I don't know how we're going to do that. I said, we're going to go to the audience. We're going to tell them what we want to do, and then we're going to do the thing. And 6 months later, those whatever 4 or 5 hours, it's 5 hours, so it's 4 DVDs, I think, appeared after lots of hard work and learning. I didn't know how to edit the thing I filmed. That's the bottom line. So I did a lot of self-education on that project. It was a great learning experience.
I'm still running strong in the homeschooling circles, and every time I come across parents who are new to it, or even experienced parents who have not heard of John Taylor Gatto, I make sure they know who he is. And I always reference your interview with him, the Ultimate History Lesson. And I tell them this is the why of why you want to homeschool. And if you want the how-to of homeschooling, go to John Holt. But John Taylor Gatto, legend. Yeah, legend. So, Richard, what distinguishes autonomy from other similar courses and online communities?
Well, it was designed with the root cause of the problem of schooling in mind. So, first, it gives you back free will, freedom of association, voluntary reasons for taking action. There are no tests, there's nothing required. And really, it's about teaching you to, take your inner self and learn how to flourish, learn how to apply learning to all the problems you have around you and move step by step methodically in a direction that you can achieve goals on a consistent basis and realize meaning and satisfaction and substance in life, pursue and attain happiness, which is what education can allow you to do if you're not stymied and stifled and held back by the indoctrination system that they've created, especially over the past 150 years.
One of the early lessons you gave us that stuck with me was you're going to get out of autonomy what you put in. You're here voluntarily, and if you want to get the most out of it, the more effort you put in, the more you're going to get out of it. And I found that to be true. And I cleared my schedule. I said I want to get the most out of it, and I believe I did, definitely.
Hey, when we were young, do you remember the practical term that maybe coaches would use? You're dogging it. So if like you're running laps or you're not doing the thing, dogging it, right? So if you go into a dojo and you just hang out and you lurk and you listen, but you don't add feedback, you don't learn from, that's kind of dogging it. Like you already showed up. You might as well try as hard as you can. And we teach you to fail fast so you could succeed sooner. So the idea is if I don't go into the dojo and work myself out and actually find some places where I need to improve myself, if it's easy, it's not a workout. So that's why I refer to a lot of the things we do as workouts throughout the course, because it's like this is mental fitness. These are workouts. And if you have hands-on experience, someone who goes in every time there's a sales training on Tuesday nights, and this is like weeks, I don't know, 7, 8 through 12 probably, and beyond probably. If they go in and they're getting the workout every Tuesday, or you just listen to the workout, one person has experience and confidence and can go out in reality and do the thing. And the other person's like, I don't know if this can work for me because they haven't tried their hardest yet. And you'll be surprised to find out that unlike schooling, when someone like trips and falls here, people stop what they're doing and help that person up. They don't point and mock them, right? So the metaphor would be in the dojo, let's say you don't know what you're doing and you try and you crash and burn and you need help. Good. You just did a whole bunch of learning there. Look at that. Look at you showing up for yourself. So with the proper attitude and the proper atmosphere, learning is like a natural thing that our minds are meant to do. And learning with each other is a lot of fun. And we can learn a lot from each other's perspectives. And so we can kind of have interactive, dynamic growth that goes faster than if we were just at home watching YouTube instructional. Here's MIT online courses. Okay. Good luck taking a next step or attaining a goal with any of that stuff this week. It's not what you need to actually go do the things you want to do. It's what they needed a long time ago to train workers just smart enough to push the buttons, but not smart enough to think their way out of the systems. So I think it's a great time to be alive because freedom still exists where we can have entrepreneurial endeavors. We can choose our jobs. If we want to be an employee, we can choose to start a business. We can choose to engage between any of those layers and provide service into the market. And many, many, many countries have risen and fallen. And the people who live there never had chances to upwardly mobilize their life, their family, their community as you do today. There are people coming up with ideas, and these days it's just an app. You could have some idea that covers, 200 million people have that need and no one's covering it. That could be a lucrative business, not long term necessarily, but sometimes. I mean, I have some apps that are pretty old that have been around for a long time, right? So just learning, if you get a paycheck, gee whiz, how does my boss, how does my company bring in enough money to pay me this? And if they pay me this, then it actually costs them this because of healthcare or taxes or whatever else, right? So if they pay you 250,000, it costs the company like 500,000, right? Now, in order for the company to say we're going to pay Chris McMillan $500,000 a year, you better be cracking a quota and bringing in like 10 million for them, and then they cut you off a nice slice because you have ethical sales skills and you know how to have a conversation, use your active listening skills, understand, like have the conversation so you can understand a problem and propose a better solution. And then people just naturally move forward with that. It's low pressure. You don't convince, connive, persuade, or push anybody. And you're just finding solutions. The same as guys make their way through the day by solving problems, gals too, right? But I'm just speaking from my knowledge here. I get through my day by solving problems, encountering things I don't know and figuring it out and looking at the individual parts and what doesn't work here. Where's the contradiction? Where's my absence in knowledge? And I figure out how to move forward. And then in a business sense, just doing the same thing that you do for yourself in a personal sense makes a lot of dollars and cents. I like how I wrap that at the end.
I love that, Richard.
I'm
And
thinking on my feet at a standing desk.
the whole fail forward thing has also just like a life, because your attitude and the way you would teach us that how failure is such a great thing, and that's embedded in my kids now. I tell them when you fail, you're learning faster, you're learning harder, you're falling harder to get to where you need to go quickly. That's actually leads to one of the questions I had for you. The question was so we're starting season 14. Is it 15 coming up?
Season 14.
Season 14 starting. So in the last 13 seasons, in your experience of navigating autonomy, what have been some of your greatest fails over the years that really would help you jumpstart and learn, because it's been a learning process. Remember how clunky we were in season 1? I mean, were we
Yeah.
even on Discord? Yeah.
I mean, one of my failures is maybe I didn't think big enough and prepare fast enough for growth that was encountered. I fail all the time when I pay suppliers, service providers, subscriptions for software that we're not using, right? So to stay afloat, it's not that you don't fail, it's that you don't fail faster than you can pump in the non-failure. You see what I'm saying? So every boat is going to take on a little water. You have a little bilge pump and you pump that out. But mainly, you're just trying to keep non-holes and don't hit stuff and make your offer to the market. Oh, that didn't work. You put some money in Rumble, like these various places that you would learn to advertise your business. They're like little casinos, right? Your offer is like you gambling in the market, but you have knowledge over the offer and you have control over the offer. Actually, it's a lot more fun probably than going into some casino and playing their game where the house has the advantage. You have the advantage if you can put your knowledge to work. So let's say, Facebook, YouTube, Google, Rumble, various places to advertise. So I come up with some idea, human skills for a human world, autonomy. Now I want to show that to people on Rumble. I could show it to them in a graphic ad. I could show it to them in a digital video ad. Different costs for different markets. Different things come from it, right? So you could attach it to two different landing pages and then you spin the wheel. How much are you just, you throw in $250 on each one. Geez, this one's getting a good click-through rate. It's almost out of money. What are we going to do? Let's put some more money on it, right? So you have to come up with, so as an entrepreneur, it's one who takes risk, but it's not uneducated risk. It's a risk that you can educate yourself on. So you say, look, you balance how many people you would need to come through Rumble to pay for the advertising campaign. And, you try to work it like that and explore with your comfort zone, right? I wasn't spending money that I didn't have for something else, right? And it's an investment to figure out, because if I can see, a print message gets more clicks than a video message because people don't like their videos being interrupted. That's one of the main things, right? And you can get print ads cheaper. So if you make a good print ad and you're showing it to an audience of friendly people who have that need and they're concerned about AI and all these other things, and they're like, what can I learn as a human being to kind of keep myself always indispensable in these situations? So anyway, insofar as employees need to figure out how money comes into the company, how their paycheck is made. So maybe you're more valuable to the company than just your employee role. If you understand marketing, advertising, the things you would learn from a first season in autonomy, just at the superficial level, now at least you can have a smart conversation with the CEO or the board of directors, because now you know what they need to have happen for the company to pay you your paycheck. And I speak from experience. I think I first did that like 94 when I learned these skills, but I remember doing it in 97. And we had a CEO who was like, I worked for the fastest growing startup company in America at that time, fastest growing small business in America, publicly traded, I think it was. It was on the cover of Newsweek right when I was interviewing there. So it was like a big to do. And when I worked there, everybody was scared to talk to the guy who founded the company. And then I knew how to bridge such gaps. I had learned conversation and interview skills. And one day at a company conference, everybody's like waiting for their food, and they see me and the CEO out there sharing Cuban cigars and having a talk in the courtyard and holding court for like an hour, right? So just learning the skeleton keys for success, how to open the doors to where you need upward mobility or information to solve a problem in front of you or to deliver a result you want and don't have. And we're not taught those things in school, but we easily could have been taught these things in school. And I tell everybody, like, if you could show up to this Zoom call, you could do everything in autonomy, because it just is not rocket science. It's like 3-step stuff. If you show up for yourself, you can learn this stuff, as opposed to some of the other things in life. You can't just, you could show up to school all day, every day for 12 years and not get the type of results that you need to survive and thrive in this environment that they've created. They created it, and then they ill prepared us for it, and that gives them the advantage. And it goes back to the William James quote. He was an early, like turn of the century, 1900s, 1800s into the 1900s philosopher. Um, he had this quote: habit is the enormous flywheel of society, its most precious conservative agent. It is it alone that preserves the advantage that the shopkeeper has over the indigent street urchin, right? Because like people want to upward mobility. And if they don't give us a whole bunch of habits that lead to nonsense, then we could be challenging them on a regular basis. And this was an observation of William James that I learned from John Taylor Gatto, actually, and probably had to look up while we were producing the ultimate history lesson.
Excellent, Richard. I'm
Mhm.
feeling the spark inside me. I can't wait to fail again. I cannot wait, man. I'm
You want to
serious
fail
though. I'm
early so
about
it's
to.
cheap. You want to fail in a
Yeah,
prepared circumstance so it's easy, right? There's just,
exactly.
yeah, don't go
Yeah.
rushing into
I,
failure.
I'm about to fail a lot. I'm getting into a new venture in real estate. And so all the skills that I learned in early days in autonomy, marketing, sales, copywriting, over the years, I dabble, it's part of life. We face it every day, one way or another. Not every day, but you know what I mean. But now it's I'm having about to have to level up, and so I'm gonna have to keep reminding myself every mistake will get me there much faster. But on the
Well,
flip
I
side of
make
that
more
question,
mistakes when I don't use my level. See, so when I
yeah,
level up here on the renovation project, it's like me using my level and making sure things are like straight up and down and level and things like this. But yeah, go ahead.
on the flip side of that, let's talk about wins. What have been some of your biggest wins in the years of navigating the autonomy course? Apart from,
Every season that's a complete season, that's a win right there. Everybody who showed up for themselves and graduated themselves on their own time without any like hocus pocus, those are wins as well. Um, there's been some people, I'd say out of like 1,000 people that have come through, I don't know, less than 10, maybe five, six. There's been a couple troublemakers who like those were wins when we got them out of away from the community, and they stopped doing nonsense that like hurts everybody's ability to be focused and learning, which is what we're here to do, right? So I think it's a win that most people from around the world of different races, colors, creeds, political dispositions have all gotten together and studied and learned these techniques, these principles, strategies, and tactics over the past 13 seasons, and we've had minimal drama. Why? Because people believe freedom's better than slavery, and they know it's a fear-free zone of mutual exploration where your freedom's not supposed to be infringed upon by other people, and you do likewise, and everybody gets along under that very simple to understand motif, right? Um, Other wins. Adding on the masterminds. So after I created the original curriculum that Chris went through for the first time, that first season was 17 weeks. That was too long. And so I cut it back to 15 weeks and kind of compressed some of the stuff. And then as a sales marketing position, it's not an interesting offer, 15 weeks. However, if I give you 12 weeks plus 3 bonus weeks, seems like a good deal. And that's what the public said. So you have an idea as an entrepreneur, you have to test it with the public. It's popular, you do more of that. It's not popular, you upgrade and update and change and get more creative or take a different perspective to show out there. Um, what other wins? Working with people who are remarkable and excellent, because I only work with autonomy graduates. And so we have created this bubble of excellence around us. And when you have to go work with people who have not gone through autonomy and don't take that extra care in their work because they don't have the extra responsible, like well considered confidence, self respect. Self respect brings good work on a consistent basis and all else flows. So, learning how to bring your attitude to gratitude, your politeness, your wealth of patience, because patience is doing something constructive while you wait to do the other thing that someone else is out of integrity probably on and taking too long. But that's okay. We don't need to tell them that they're late. They know they're late. I'm sitting here in the waiting room, right? I'm going to make myself otherwise occupied. I'm not a victim in any of those situations. So, controlling my 168 hours per week of time has gotten so much better. So that's a personal win over the past 13 seasons. And I know other people have done likewise because that which gets measured can now be managed. And so having a good cycle of working out and then applying it. So if I come and learn a whole bunch of things on any given topic, I have to then go do the thing. And oftentimes for the past 6 months, I'll need to do a thing. And I'm like, what's the best way to do that thing? What's the way with excellence, right? For instance, I'll do a loss and a win. 2 days ago, 3 days ago, probably, I was installing a bathroom, toilet, vanity, these sort of things in a powder room. And the way to finish off the toilet is you have to seal it to the floor with some caulking. And then if you do that, what is the best way to seal a toilet? What is the way with excellence? What way would you say, oh, that's done right? And then you find that way. Well, I had done that way upstairs. I was so proud of myself. And then I came downstairs. I was like, I'm going to do it again. And I just didn't do it. I was like hacking my way through it. I didn't just do the thing that I could have done. I was like maybe being too careful and I messed it up. And then I had to rip it out and then I had to do it again better the second time. And you know, it's done right. So that failure led to the thing getting done right even better than I would have done it if I had just tried to like make the failure work, make it work. But The problem was I was using bathroom caulking that was not GE. It wasn't the best caulking, which I had used other places. It was just similar, and it did not work as nicely. It was like lesser quality. I was like, it's that John Ruskin quote. When you spend too much, sometimes you lose a little money, but when you don't spend enough, sometimes you can lose everything, like your hard work, your time, your effort, your patience, all these other things. So that was a case where shame on me. I should have just waited a day, bought the good stuff, and not tried to rush forward with progress, because it wasn't progress. It took longer. And it was a good learning experience. That's a loss that led to a win. And that's what we all need to learn to generate for ourselves in our like everydayness.
I
Because I
love
do
that
that every
story,
day.
and
Maybe it's
I
just
can
me.
relate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I recently feel your pain, Richard. I went through the same trial and tribulations actually with the toilet. My secret weapon, though, was I instead of because I thought, all right, I'm going to try this, and I'm probably going to mess it up. So I just rang up Jordan, who,
Jordan Alcon, season one.
yeah,
And if you can find him on an electric device where he could talk
yeah.
to you, good for you. But he's a man of hour, tower of power, a very excellent example of autonomy as well. So that's good that you acquiesced and you called him. What'd he say?
Well, that's my point. Is it's the network. I mean, Richard, seriously, I sat down today, and I looked at my life now in 2025, and I came up with like everything that's going on with me right now. So many things stem back to autonomy, and that's one of them. I mean, the network that was created, the amazing people in your network. That's a huge win from autonomy. And I appreciate back in the day, and now I suppose your transparency. I always loved how you used to show us your whiteboard, how your notes, everything. You would show us your index cards, and when we were there at Red Pill in 2019, everyone was just welcome to your whole library. Your transparency was always, for me, that was very special.
Yeah, because we've actually met in person and you've seen how small that old studio was. Um, this one's not much bigger, but it's not in two rooms. It's all one room for two studios. And I haven't set up the autonomy studio, but it will be behind this camera and lighting setup because I'm pointing to these boxes over here that haven't moved. They got to move in the next couple weeks here. But yeah, that's part of the gig. So you getting to see all that stuff and see like when I pull books off and do it in the show or whatever during Q&A, sometimes people ask questions that need books, for you to be like, oh, you get to hold them, and look at the highlighted quotes and see stuff that I missed or didn't know myself yet. And interesting things happen when you do cool stuff like that. So I also wanted to do a hat tip for your choice of sartorial costumage for this endeavor, since that's like my freedom logo from like, I think I designed
Yeah,
that 2013,
yeah.
2012.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freedom is learned, not inherited. Peace revolution. And it has the keys to liberty on there. So the bird gets out of the cage with the keys of learning. It's a very symbolic gesture that I ripped off
Yeah,
from the
luckily
Ramones.
because I'm in Texas, I don't have to wear this shirt or don't get to wear it very often because it's long sleeve.
Yeah, there
So
you go.
this shirt's still in pretty good shape after all the years. I only have to
Yeah.
pull it out a few times a month, but I pulled it out tonight, special occasion. But it's 90 degrees today. Don't get me wrong. So
Well, that's funny. I
yeah,
had to go digging through a box yesterday looking for my Filson hat because I was on the OBDM podcast and Midnight Mike has the same hat. And it's a it's a very eclectic, rare. It's like not many people know about Filson. So it's like cowboy gear. That's like it's very excellent. So it's expensive stuff. I bought a coat for my wife from there one time. That's why I got myself a hat. Bought her coat with the sheer and the Mackinac, but I got a hat for myself. So anyway, I had to go dig through the box and I was like, should I do it? I'm like, that's a good icebreaker. I haven't talked to him in a while. And then I show up and he's not wearing his hat at all. I was like, oh, geez, Mike. And then I had to explain to him the like, I was like, I had this hat. I'm not wearing it for the interview, but I was wearing it to like talk to you about your hat. So, yeah, every now and then you got to dig through stuff to make things happen. And I appreciate you pulling out that shirt. I almost pulled out a investigate 9/11 yesterday, but I was like, yeah, I don't need that right now. There's a lot of stuff going on. And I didn't know where it was. I didn't
yeah, I
try.
heard.
I didn't try my hardest and fail. That's what I should have done. Thank you. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, didn't you have Richard Gage on recently?
Mm.
Right. Yeah, he's always coming around 9/11.
All
Yeah, that
right,
was a
so
good chat
we had
we had
Gage
that
on.
time.
So I met Richard Gage back in 2008. So I've known him a long time. We had him on Sunday night. He was having this conference this weekend, which is supposed to be like a 3 or 4 day conference. And he's got Redacted streaming it to millions of people. And they've got senators there and Ron Johnson and Tucker Carlson and Kucinich, and there's a whole bunch going on with it. And Gage had mentioned that he paid 10 grand to have a video crew to stream it, right? So I'm watching my friend's conference where my friends are presenting on a topic I know about, and I'm cringing because I'm like, the AV guy, like he's showing the guy instead of the slides. Oh my God, the sound's cutting out, the live stream's cutting out. So I'm like texting with Burmis, and that conference, I think, would have been a lot bigger had there not been other political assassinations this week that kind of, and yeah, there's always a chance like to try to help friends who are doing stuff, because there's, Gage has been at it since like 2 years after I got into this. So to be able to support himself and his wife and be away from architects and engineers for 9/11 truth, and to be able to look at more evidence than just building 7, I think those were all important things. And I watched the conference and still learned some stuff. So even though the production quality, I was like, oh man, I wish they were doing a better job for my friend. I didn't know how to do it better myself. So it's not like I could have just gone to DC and help. But I did learn some useful things throughout it. And that, I think that's still going on. It's going on tonight and tomorrow still. Pork Fest, though, Chris, 2 years ago, 2023, there was a guy called Dana Rohrbacher there, and he used to be like a Congress critter, I guess, back in the day, congressman. And I just had to find the footage because I saw him at the end of the last night's 9/11 presentation. So it was like Kucinich, and then they brought Rohrbacher up. So I texted Burmis this morning. I tried to do a voice text to him, but it wouldn't. It failed 3 times. So I got to text. I got to text him the whole thing. And the gist was like this: Hey, dude, I saw you guys had Dana Rohrbacher last night. I ran into him at Porkfest a couple years ago. He came to our cafe. I didn't know who he was. I just saw an old dude with a USS aircraft carrier hat on. I said, thank you for your service. Your meal's on the house. And while we're making his quesadilla, I started talking to him. Cody talked to him about dragons later, but that's a different conversation. And so I talked to him a little bit. I noticed his story contradicts a little too much. Consistently, it contradicted. So I said, what's your deal? And he told me that when he was 18, the CIA recruited him and then took him to Vietnam and sheep dipped him and made him a colonel, and he could go anywhere in the country and do anything. And this whole story, right? Then I took him across the aisle in the campground to our tent, sat him down with a bunch of autonomy graduates, some of whom might be in this meeting, and I slid him over some moonshine that my buddies had made, and we were imbibing. And now Dana Rohrbacher is sitting there at that table telling all sorts of, he ran Operation Cyclone with Osama bin Laden and Brzezinski. He's a very interesting character. We went through the whole conversation and we figured out who he was because I started showing people the Wikipedia page. I'm like, this is the dude. But he comes up, so he splits after like maybe an hour. I put all the footage in a folder for Leah because she wanted Porkfest footage. Anyway, I didn't total up the footage, but the gist was he left and then he came back later. And he says, I go over and he says, you don't know who I am, do you? I said, no, sorry, I didn't recognize you. He said, Dana Rohrbacher. I said, oh, yeah, yeah. And then I was thinking, yeah, you're Oliver North's best friend. And I should slowly start walking back. Like, why is this guy? Why are we? Anyway, it's like he's from the other side. So, anyway, when I saw him at the 9/11 conference, I just felt the need to tell Burmas, like, if you're emceeing this event and this guy's involved, just want you to know this card, I don't know what it means, but this is a card, like, he wrote his number in my notebook in his own handwriting. Here it is. So, just want him to stay safe. If I wanted to out that, because that's not all the stuff that I have on footage is not publicly known, but the dude's like 93, and the footage will be footage in 5 years, and whatever. So I'm not there to try to make much ado about that. Something, maybe nothing, but he's an interesting character. Autonomy Graduates got that in real life because once a year, traditionally, we would go to the Porcupine Freedom Festival up in the White Mountains of New Hampshire, and 3,000 liberty-loving people from all over the world get together and experience freedom at a higher level for a week. It's very spoiling. Then you got to come back to reality and deal with people who suck sometimes. But that conference no longer has an agreement with that campground, so I don't know where we're going to get together in real life this next year. But I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that they'll work it out, and we'll just go back up there.
Seriously, there may not be Pork Fest next year?
That is the word. Yeah.
Huh.
Some people
Yeah.
complained a little too much, and the campground was like, go find someplace else to have what no one else will host with, 100 acres. So I hope that the Free State Project just gets their ish together and probably says, let us help you improve the campground. Instead of complaining about the things wrong, why don't we just fix them? We're all capable people. We could just go fix things. And that's what capable people have been doing since Porkfest, because we see there's no place else for them to host it. And this actually has to come together. And when it comes together, people should have a plan, and we can be there waiting for them saying, took you long enough, that sort of thing.
Whatever happens with that, one way or another, freedom-minded people will find a way to get together in some form or another, maybe not in New Hampshire, but somewhere. That's my 2 cents on that. I mean, but yeah, I didn't every year Pork Fest kind of, would come up and I see all the excitement and I think maybe we should go and excuse. I know Pam and Steve have been pretty consistent
Man, I
going
see
up
them
there.
every year.
Yeah.
Pam will say, so Pam's from season one. Her and her husband Steve are from Texas. They come to New Hampshire the past couple years. Pam does a rock and B-52s Love Shack karaoke. She'll get up there and tear it up. So she has a blast. Steve has a blast. He comes and sits at the tent and just hangs out. And he's a very capable person. So it speaks volumes when you have capable men sitting around enjoying whatever the capable men we're with put together. And um, in those aspects, there's a lot that people like that get out of meeting the others, because where they live, they might not have such educated, freedom-minded people, and it's worth making the trip up there and getting, the experience of being outside with each other and freedom for a week.
Well, I do my
Not
part
not
down
so
here,
much not
Richard.
so much terrarium. It's more out in nature. You're exposed to the elements. There's wind and rain and all sorts of stuff. Critters, bears. There's bears. So
There's bears in New Hampshire?
oh yeah, they're in the dumpster every night. You
Man.
you could see them, like
Well,
if you wake up in the morning, you look across there's a field across there. You see like the mama bear and the two cubs out there, like getting some grub.
but are we talking the bears that would eat you and kill you kind of thing? Or,
Well,
I mean,
if they were starving, probably, but they're so well fed with the dumpsters down the hill. People throw, like, there's dumpsters, and when they get too full, sometimes people just throw the garbage over the hill down there in the campground. So the bears kind of stay down there. And the rule is, if you go leaving food around your campsite at night, like we run a cafe, so there's food. So if we don't secure our garbage and take it to the dumpsters, there's a chance critters could come up, but that's never happened. This is real wood, so that works. I don't like to tempt irony, which is the sense of humor of Mother Nature.
well, what you're talking about, I mean, here at my place in Northeast Texas, consistently for a while, I was doing it once every few months, having a hangout out here, and a lot of autonomizers come out here, have been out here, just hanging out. We, get the grill going and we network. And not only everyone I know from autonomy that could come, and some autonomizers came from pretty far away. Mark Price flew in from Boston
You guys
this
made up
past.
autonomizers in season one. I think you might have been responsible for that particular phrase.
Yeah, yeah, Igor's been out here a few times from Las Vegas, but we still do that, and that's what it's all about. Yeah, so I really respect the whole Pork Fest thing. It's a shame I haven't been up there, but if it does continue, and I get pushed a little bit more, me and the fam will come up there. But yeah, Richard, I was going to ask you a bit about Grand Theft World and how it was born out of autonomy. You kind of touched on that before. I don't know if you want to elaborate a bit more, because Grand Theft World, in my opinion, is the most awesome podcast out there. And, combine that with the autonomy, there's a lot of crossover. But, any thoughts on that?
In 2004, I learned about the book Tragedy and Hope by Carol Quigley and discovered its suppression. So I bought the URL, tragedyandhope.com. Now, I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I didn't know how to make a website, but I knew that was a good URL and people should know about it. So I didn't use that URL till 2009. So around 2009, 2010, I bought another website called grandtheftworld.com. And I knew they had this game called Grand Theft Auto, and that's like you're stealing the car. I'm like, that's so low level. Like these people are stealing our whole world. So Grand Theft World. So anyway, I bought that URL. I sat on it through GoDaddy or whatever. And at some point, someone had a conversation with me and they said, holding a lot of URLs, use these URLs, these sort of things. And I was like, you're right. I should get rid of some of these URLs. Now, I didn't mean to get rid of Grand Theft World, and I didn't know that I didn't have Grand Theft World on a recurring basis. So when COVID came around, I was working with a couple autonomy graduates, and I specifically said to Tyler, and LD was probably there, Lawrence Driggs the fourth. I said, it was September. So I was like, hey, the election's coming up. There's all this COVID going on. I'm going to start doing a weekly news podcast. I have grandtheftworld.com and we're just going to like do XYZ. And Tyler goes, would you like me to buy it for you? And I was like, no, dude, I already own it. I've owned it for like 10 years. What are you talking about? He goes, oh, well, it's on the market right now. So we reacquired it. And from then we had a lot of website troubles because the website's the last thing. Like it's a live show. If we can do the Zoom call and do the thing, the website, that'll get done at some point. So after like 5 years, we finally got a professional website going on and you could learn about the show. But more importantly, you could press this when we're live and you could watch the show on here instead of some other nonsense place that, might not be so friendly. And you were able to get to watching live, get the replays, latest episodes, all that good stuff. Clip Genie, where you can search the whole show. So anything we've said on the show, you could just type in, and we could type in Trump, and I'll show you we don't talk about him much. Let's see. Oh, that's my reminder for an autonomy lecture. Are you guys going to that tonight? I'm just kidding. That's a couple weeks from now. But the reminder still rings. It reminds me of the good nights of the lectures. So, there's episodes you can find anybody or anything that we've talked about over the past 5 years by just typing in the word to gtw.clipgenie.com. And that goes that way. And so that explains the URL and the irony of kicking off a show of November 4th, 2020, just when they were changing presidents up and all that sort of stuff was going on with COVID. We were almost a year into COVID at that point. And there was still a little nonsense going on. And if you want to see an artifact that you didn't ask for, but it's in the question a little bit, the early days of COVID preceded the early days of Grand Theft World. This is the infamous stack. Like, if you wanted to see what's in this stack, you could go to episode 7 of Grand Theft World. And here's a whole bunch of evidence about the people doing the pandemic and the mRNA testing and DARPA and licensing it to Moderna in 2013. And like all the pieces of evidence, all the studies that we had to keep referencing over and over and over again to show, hey, this is not what people are being told. And the Grand Theft World, oh, I forgot to show it to you. Here you go. Let me see. Full screen. It has Club of Rome, but it has, this is a famous paper and it was withdrawn. Uncanny similarity of unique inserts in the 2019 nCoV spike protein to HIV. And this was exhibit 8 from 1/31/2020 in the sources, BioRxiv, whatever that site is. So anyway, this was a big stack. And then the town hall for Grand Theft World originally started as the Autonomy weekly town hall of people from all over the world, explaining what's going on in their world with COVID, preventative measures, lockdowns, checking in with people to make sure they're safe and surviving, all that sort of stuff. As COVID left, later in 2020, we didn't need to do weekly, like, are we going to ever see outside again meetings? Then we just started repurposing it for the twice monthly Grand Theft World Town Hall. Do you have a favorite artifact you wanted to ask for from the stack?
No, not offhand. That is
All right.
beautiful. It is so important to keep hard copies of everything these days. Um, Sandy, I interviewed her. She's like the Rosa Corey of Britain. She has the speaking of Club of Rome, because if you go online and look at that book, there's the part where they go over options and they come up with climate change as one of the best options to whatever sinister plan they're coming up with, and it's redacted. But a lot of people have the physical book. That's just one of the examples of many. And she took a photo of it and sent it to me, and a few people emailed me for it, and I gave it to them. But that's just one example of many. It's so important to keep
I'm
books,
looking
hard
for it.
copies.
It's elusive right now.
Yeah,
I
Club of
really
Rome.
thought that I had referenced it's the 1992 Club of Rome update that has that paragraph in there that humanity, the enemy of humanity is humanity itself. But I'm gonna blame myself because I put all these books back, and obviously I didn't put that one back where it needs to go, or I didn't open that box yet to find that book. Did both. Moving on.
Yeah, very
Sorry.
good, Richard. Well, Richard, that's
I
all I've
meant
got for
well. I meant
questions.
well.
I just wanted to know if you want to follow up, anything else you want to add to our guest tonight, that you think that they would like to know.
What was the hardest part for you to get this meeting going and interview me tonight? Was it like,
The hardest part?
yeah, was it like
Um,
organizing, like putting a reminder in your schedule so you didn't forget? Or let's think of some questions, or I gotta find my t-shirt, make sure I look right for like what was the difficulty, the hurdle that you had to jump over, bragging, not complaining, to get this meeting done?
just agreeing to do it. Yeah, I had no excuse. Leah's asked me a few times, and I did have stuff going on, and she asked me tonight, and I didn't have anything going on, and my initial reaction was knee jerk was, "Oh," it's been 2 years since I've been on Zoom, done an interview, and my last interview was with the Wealth Battle crew, and I had a blast. I'm really happy. I created a lot of good content, but for me, there was a lot of younger, more energetic guys coming up, voices in the wilderness, and I'm proud of what I created at truthconduit.com. But I just moved on, and I still reference it. And when conversations come up about certain topic, it's easy for me. I just go to YouTube and send them my interview with whatever. But yeah, it's been 2 years since I've gotten onto the court and gotten Zoom up and running. So just saying yes to Leah was the hardest part. After that, it was all, yeah, it's all fine. It's really good to get back into it and talk to you again, Richard, and
So
be
you've
part
been
of
out in the real
autonomy.
world using your real skills. You haven't even needed to come back for a refresher. You're just out there like overcoming stuff. And if you hit a wall, you call other graduates and boom. That's pretty good. I
Yeah,
don't know
that's
anyone
pretty
else
much
that's
it.
rocking like that. A lot of people come back like, once a year, new project. They want to freshen up on their skills, new challenges. I used my autonomy skills like nonstop for the past 60, not 60 days. It started as 60 days, I thought, 6 months. And, once, like, first off, there's a learning curve. Why? Because we don't know something. What does us not knowing cause? Problems. To solve the problem, we have to learn. Okay, so now the faster we can approach problem, forget about awkward, forget about embarrassing, forget about, oh, I don't want to do it. Psh, now we're just learning. Encounter problem, learn. Solve problem. Encounter next problem, learn, solve problem. And you don't need all this other stuff in between. So I have had to uh, thoughtfully engage with things that I don't know what's making water come out the pipe right now. I thought I shut the thing off and now it's flooding, and floods are expensive, and so you just have to like get into it, use your five observate like your observation five senses skills, right? Ask some questions. Why is that doing that? Find answers, which is a three-step method we practice for 12 weeks called the Trivium method of critical thinking and creative problem solving. And once you not only conceptualize that and practice it in the dojo, it's like it's for life. So you get out and you engage with the stuff that happens. And, you know, um, my wife let me know that the truck wasn't running well the other day. So my brain's like, well, there's a warrant. I pay for a warranty, so we could take it to the garage and they could diagnose it, right? And then I'm like, we gotta schedule that and take it there and have different car, all this stuff, right? So then I thought, why don't I just start the car and pop the hood? My buddy Dylan and I, we're like, what's that clicking? I said, I've heard that clicking before. That's a spark plug wire that's not connected. Sure enough, cylinder 6 not connected. I diagnosed it then afterwards with my little computer thing. Cylinder 6 isn't working, it says. Great. Start the car. Cylinder 6 now fires. Warning lights go away. All done. And once I got past like the fear of what I have to do to fix it and just got into like fixing it, it's like I call that you can't go through life on planet Earth without worst case scenarios. That's a given. I subscribe to the best of the worst case scenarios. So if something's going to happen like that, I just want it to be the best. We can't avoid these things. Just get the best case to the worst case. So that's one of those situations. It could have been thousands of dollars of repair over weeks, or it could just be a wire that fell off and you put it back on. I like those easier fixes. And I find if I'm mentally prepared to engage with a problem like that, I find easy fixes all the time that I probably talked myself out of. Oh, it's going to be too hard. I don't even want to try that. Right. All the stories the excuses, the stories we used to tell ourselves before autonomy. So having fewer and fewer excuses and more wins is a good thing, and it translates to whatever part of life you're lacking. If you need more money, you can translate it to more money, but if you're lacking community and communication, it can translate to that. So
I don't
superpowers
make
in
excuses
reality.
anymore, Richard. I'm
Yeah.
done making excuses. I've really have making major steps in my life and autonomy. Again, everything stems back to autonomy, going back so many years ago. And what you just did there, grammar, logic, rhetoric, by explaining to us the spark plug and giving us that information, that completes it. That's the rhetoric part done, right?
Well, part is
Isn't that how it works?
part is being willing to engage with the unknown and push the button and see what happens. Then part is active listening skills. That is not running right. Well, my wife could have told me that. That's what she's like, truck's not running right. So now I need more specificity. And I have heard that exact problem on that engine about last year this time. I had it's family truckster, right? So we're going to Florida. We drive. I took it to the place I do business with. I said, we're going to Florida. It's like 1,000 miles or whatever, make sure it doesn't break down. Like change the plugs, change the wires, change the oil, all that good stuff. So that was on that trip to Florida. It was Labor Day weekend, and we find ourselves at a rest stop in nowhere, Georgia, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock on a Saturday night where nothing's going to be open until Tuesday. And the water pump had burst and was no longer holding fluid next to the hot engine. So that's a longer story, but I used my autonomy skills and replaced the water pump in the parking lot of a hotel that I drove to because I knew I could drive the engine without fluid, but only so far. And I, acquired some tools to do that, and we had success. Later in that trip, right before we're about to come home, feeling all the confidence of fixing the water pump, parking lot of grocery store, all of a sudden, truck just it. I reset the computer, and the truck engine changed. So I thought, oh, one of these buttons of resetting the computer in the truck just changed the engine. That's an assumption. Had I kept that assumption, I'd have been taking it to the dealer and waiting and not leaving on time. But I said, my parents live not too far from here. Let's drive and get to their place so I can have my dad's whatever tools he's got in Florida, which isn't many. He used to have them all, but I'll put it in the driveway. I'll open the hood and we'll check it out. So that's where I first diagnosed, the ticking. Like I found the root cause of that. And it was after I used the computer, it told me there's a spark plug wire missing. And I had it visually inspected them all, and the guys who installed the new ones, they put them on, but they didn't click the one that's way in the back because they didn't use a step stool. So it was like I can understand how it happened, but it hung on for 1,000 miles and then just fell off while we weren't moving in a parking lot, which is very hard to believe, but that's what happened. So putting that back on, learning that lesson back then allowed me to solve this problem the other day, which was like higher pressure because my wife, there was kids here with my son, and there was people that needed to be places, and she doesn't want to break down with other people's kids in the car. I can understand that. So I just fixed it because I have autonomy skills. So
It's a formula for any aspect of life.
it's a formula.
Yeah.
If you learn to show up for yourself to get these skills, it allows you to show up in life and do all the other things. I wish we could have gotten this in schooling. I wish schooling was created by people who were cool and could have transferred this type of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, but they didn't. So it created an opportunity for me. And after like 10 years of saying it was needed and no one doing anything, I said I could do that and, stepped up.
Well, on behalf of everyone in autonomy, I'm very grateful that you did step up because you have been consistently adding value to so many. I mean, how many thousands of lives? How many people have come through autonomy now so far? As
I,
of
th-
up to
I
now,
mean, at some
rough
point,
estimate.
because we had a season where we didn't use the current platform that we used for the past 12 seasons, probably. So I don't remember, like, I never counted how many from the first season, but through the official like the second system, I'm pretty sure it's 1,000 or more. So there's probably another 50 or 60 people from before that. Um, as far as podcast or making videos, like I made a video one time that got over 1 million views. And it's a 3.5 hour interview with no B-roll whatsoever. Um, so using the interview skills to get people information that they need, especially from the technical director of the National Security Agency, like those were like times. It's not just like with Gatto. There's time and place when you need to ask some questions and help somebody else get the message out there to a wider audience. In Gatto's case, he was missing like HD and clear audio. So it was obvious like someone needs to, ask this guy these questions in front of the lights and camera and the microphone and let the audience learn and grow. And I would challenge that more people have probably seen the ultimate history lesson and taken that growth curve than saw any one of his speaking engagements over the years, because a lot of those were like the microphones in the back of the room, or the camera's not zoomed in. You know how it was back in the day. People were a little bit more casual with their documenting of situations. Can be
Richard,
good and
one of
bad.
the
Yeah.
I don't want to veer too far from autonomy, but I do remember when Robert Kiyosaki basically told you straight up, he said, "This is the best interview I've ever done." Because we were learning interviews at the time, and you showed us the behind the scenes footage so we could learn, how to, set the tone and all that. And that was a great moment. Robert Kiyosaki, because he
That
seems like
guy.
a hard guy to make happy.
All right. So the point of Chris's story is not that I helped him have what he thought was the best interview ever, right? It's that when I showed up for that, so first off, set the stage. This is April 2019. I've just gotten through the first season of Autonomy. I'm about to go to the Red Pill Expo, which is being hosted here in Hartford, Connecticut. And my wife and we're running the media team that interviews all the speakers and does the green room filming and stuff like that at the event. So I have a mandate from G. Edward Griffin himself, the author of Creature from Jekyll Island. He says, "Thee shalt interview all these people quickly with gusto." So anyway, I get this list of people I got to interview that's supposed to be an hour each, right? So I show up in the wee early hours of the morning. It was like, I don't know, 9:30 my time. I usually don't do meetings before 11 unless it's a really special type thing. Well, for Kiyosaki, I was told you got to do it at 9:30. So I show up bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. I'm ready for an hour-long interview. And Bobby Kiyosaki, he's out there in Arizona, different time zone, right? So this is probably definitely his first meeting of the morning. Okay. So I didn't call him Bobby either. I was just doing that to see if I could make Chris laugh. So I said, "Good morning, Mr. Kiyosaki. My name's Richard Grove. I'm interviewing you for Red Pill Expo, G. Edward Griffin. You're speaking there in a couple weeks." Just to be sure he knows who I am and what he's doing here in this interview. Because, I know sometimes I need a little guidance. That's an olive branch. And he's like, "Ah." And I said, "Yeah. So from my understanding, we have about an hour today." And he's like, "No, this is 15 minutes. And now my brain's like, I have all these questions. How do I get Ed what he needs in 15 minutes? I don't even know. I don't know. So then I could tell like he's cold fish. Like he needs to be warmed up a little bit. He needs what do they call it? Jedi mind trick? No, 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 no. What do they call it? Something else to think about. Let's just say it like that. So in my preparation for talking to Mr. Kiyosaki, I had thoughtfully pulled out some books of common interests of ours. He's a fan of Buckminster Fuller. I'm a fan of some things about Bucky Fuller because he wasn't a real good dad. So don't take your daddying advice from him, but geodesic domes and stuff like that, have at it, right? So I happened to pull a book out. This is called Going from the Frying Pan into the Fire. I pulled this book out and I said, "What do you think about this book?" He goes, "Why do you like that book?" And I was like, "Shit." And I'm like, "Is this not the good book?" And he says he has a beef with the author, Lloyd Sidon. And I was like, "Oh, you guys don't like that's cute." I said, "Here's why I like this book." Boom, 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 boom. All these things that I learned about Bucky Fuller and that led me to read a lot of his other work, right? So then it's like, he's like right there. What do we need to do right now? Yeah, I'm good for whatever you need to do. So talking, on a real level, then going back to work for a minute, that worked out really well. And I think that's why, because he probably was like here on interest level, but by the time he was done with the interview, his interest level was here. And I was like, yeah, that's it. That's a wrap. Have a great time. And then he said that thing, and I was like, I got to remember to clip that thing he said. And someday maybe add it to some other good things that people say or something like that. Owen Benjamin, when he was on the podcast, he said, some nice things at the end. And, I occasionally think, oh, that'd be great for a testimonial and get those clips and put them together. And then more people would find Grand Theft World instead of the handful of people out of billions on the planet that find it useful. Well, it's just
One of many
tools.
stories that stem
Yeah.
from the autonomy experience, Richard. Well, Richard, should we at this point open it up to the floor for questions? Do you have any closing thoughts?
Well, my closing thought would be the same as I taught you in season 1. Literacy is a form of slavery until an objective method of critical thinking is practiced consistently by the reader. And with that, questions, conundrums, complacencies, you guys got stuff you want to talk about? Let new people go first. Let's see if we can challenge someone who has a question, concern, compliment, whatever, and see if they want to unmute, because we know autonomy graduates and students can do that readily. It's part of what you learn how to do. Let's see who has a question for either myself or Mr. McMillan.
Hello.
Howdy.
Hi there. Thank you very much for hosting this event, Chris. I've enjoyed your interview with Richard.
I appreciate that, James. Thanks a lot.
Um, I just briefly, I'm fully independent. I just stagnate when it comes to closing deals with clients, mainly because I talk past the sale.
Mm.
I have packages ready to go for people, and I often get bogged down in trying to um, achieve what a client wants, but the service that I provide is a little vague for them to understand. It's video and photo related, so I have tailored smaller packages that are easy for me to accomplish, in a very quick rate, close the deal, get the job done. But it's overwhelming for a client to hear my pitch.
Mm.
I guess what I'm looking for out of autonomy is a network of people that are experts in their own right when it comes to things like accounting, marketing, and not talking past the sale. In closing, my biggest advertisement is when people actually see me performing my work in person. I am a walking business card. So I don't really know what I'm asking, but I guess I'm looking for like a big network of other professionals in key areas of accounting, marketing, even copywriting. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So I can't promise that I have this utopian network that you seek. However, by the time you go through autonomy, if you understand who you need to reach out to, you're going to know how to reach out, build rapport, have a conversation, and get the information you need to cross that next threshold. So, in one part, you already know what you're doing. You're talking past the sale, right? How does one avoid talking past the sale is the next thing that could be learned there. But what I also heard you say is there's this thing that you can't turn off. Like if people just see you doing your thing, interest, right? Well, Why don't you schedule a time once a week, do your thing where someone who has a question is going to come ask you questions, do the thing with you. That could be your podcast, that could be your content. The form and function of you doing what you do can be the advertising marketing extension that clarifies and shows the customer in their perspective what you actually deliver to them. And what you actually deliver might be peace of mind, or it might be something intangible that we have yet to find out from this process. Um, and that might help you disambiguate some of these other things. But the fact that you come in already taking action, already trying, already having an idea where you might be self-sabotaging, like, they were going to say yes, and I kept talking. And then they're like, I don't know, you know? And so these are skills. And though closing is something I focus on minimally when I teach, um, we do have a Tuesday night sales training that's in addition to autonomy. In addition, meaning it's beyond the spectrum of this curriculum, but we give it to you guys anyway for free because you need it. So there's a Tuesday night session. I used to do the dojos. Now one of the season 7 graduate, Phoenix, he's been running it because he's a VP of sales at a law firm. So he's been running the dojos on Tuesday nights, making the sales curriculum. That's where you could get in and start refining your deal at a higher level, as opposed to just learning the general mechanics through the course. That's where people who want that job or do that job, that's where they come on Tuesday nights. I'm usually there, and so you can fix the overtalk. You can also have some pieces in the conversation that prevent the overtalk from happening, right? So there's a couple different ways that you could alleviate that part of it, but closing being, it's like it naturally happens after you propose a better plan to solve a problem that they haven't solved yet, to deliver a result they want and don't have, and to alleviate a problem they have and don't want. Once you show a better plan, there's no need for a whole bunch of closing techniques and hooks and all those other things that some people spend a lot of time training money on. Let me show you the 200 Ways to Close by Grant Cardone. You get this big, thick book of things that, I don't know, I can conclude conversations pretty well after I've understood and solved the problem. It's not a problem. So sometimes it's just making that solution stick. And once you are confident, like, oh, they got it, good. All right, you guys have a nice day. Let me know what you think. You know, I got to go to my next appointment because I'm a busy person. And, but all these little burrs and rough edges, like you're not trying to shape a knife from a metal file. You've already got a knife. You just need a little honing. You know what I'm saying? So this is not a cakewalk. You got to show up for yourself. But if you go through the curriculum, the Q&As, the mastermind meetings, and then do some sales trainings when that comes up, I would think you wouldn't have these problems by the end of your first season. You'd have different problems to solve, but you'd have a method to solve them with and people to solve them with who have experience.
Thank you.
Yeah. I tried to keep it real. I could tell you, oh, we got all these people, and we might. But if I advertise that, your expectations up here. So I'd rather you come in here at reality and then find out, oh, it's excellent. And there are people. So I just didn't want to obligate myself or promise more than I had. Pleasure to make your acquaintance, James. Did you have a follow-up question since you were bold enough to break the silence and be in front of
Oh,
other
I don't
people?
want to. There's a lot of people on. I don't want to hog any time.
All right.
No, I've been watching and paying attention to Grand Theft Auto for a long time, and anytime I'm appearing on other streams, I always mention you and Tony, especially. So you
Well,
got
that's
to do
good.
better
I
work.
just texted with Tony earlier today, so.
Yeah, I do miss Tony.
I miss Tony too, but my friends who I'm not hanging out with presently are always out doing incredible things. And then when we get back together, it's so crazy. We get these interesting things and life experiences and this invigoration for each other. So I like the ebb and flow, you know, and that's part of having friends over like long periods of time. But I miss Tony too. But I'm also thankful of my present crew, the people who are on the field now, helping to carry the water every week. So those are all autonomy graduates too. The shadow host position that was aforementioned early in the conversation is just because it's a lot of responsibility. When you see a streamer doing it all themselves, a Jason Burmis, Luke sometimes has, Luke Rudowski, he has help. But anyway, I have a ton of buttons and screens and all sorts of stuff, and that's just to deliver value to you. if I also have to watch the chat, make sure we're still streaming, all that other stuff, I can't be my best. So I've thought enough of my deliverable to say I'm going to need more people, and to get excellent people, you have to make them excellent offers and not be a drag every day in their life. You have to be uplifting and encouraging and positive. And so it's a special type of environment that you need to grow healthy things. And this is going into season 14. So we've been getting better at it over the years. But there's been lots of ups and downs. I have ideas on a stack of cards. Like so there's a blank stack of cards. This is my raw material. And these are cards with ideas, right? And you can't see. It's too bright. That's also white balance. You learn that in Media Magic, how to adjust your light so you can see white things. Anyway, the idea would be I have a whole series of cards that are clipped together someplace, and it's 6-figure mistakes I've made. And I got a lot of interesting, good ones, you know. Some of them are $100,000 mistakes. Some of them are like $500,000 mistakes over the years. So learning how to find the silver linings. What is the universe trying to teach you in these instances, and move on. And yeah, that goes with anybody who goes out there into the world, makes offers, and deals in the marketplace. You can't be afraid of it. Otherwise, you're not going to take any actions, and you're just going to be like, this place sucks. It does if you don't take any action to help yourself and make yourself the best you can be in this environment. Yeah.
Well,
So thanks for
speaking of
speaking up.
cards, thank you very much. And I will have a series of cards sending your way as soon as they arrive.
Oh, I can see. Have you sent me cards before, James?
I sure have.
I can see them right over here. Can I walk from the desk and grab them so I can show everyone else what you make?
Uh, you
I
can,
don't know that.
but I don't know if it's appropriate for them, but thank you.
Well, yeah, okay. Let me try. I'm the CEO. I can do this.
Go for it. What'd you do, James? Can't wait to see what you're up to.
Oh, you don't know, Chris? Okay, hold on.
No, I don't know what y'all talking about.
I knocked my light. All right. Now I'm getting learnified here. Let me put my spectacles on. Now I think this is the original box. Do you recognize this box, James?
I recognize that box.
All right, cool. I'm not going to dox you and show your address on screen, but I'm going to open it up. And in this box, there are cards. Now, these are like Pokemon cards for adults who love freedom. So let me see. There's Nixon shock. So back in the day, something happened with Nixon, and then you'd get all learnified and educated on the back. And so the entire series is titled Plunder World. And these, I have a book for these, James. So there is a plan. So they're not always in the box. Depleted uranium. These are just Bretton Woods. These are just things that people maybe might want to know about. There's an interesting, history that goes on in a lot of different aspects. And these are super educational. The internet offers a lot of information, but this is structured information around topics that we all kind of needed to know about. It's like my podcast. It's like Peace Revolution, but in card form. And then the updated version looks like these. Oh, wait, I didn't push the button. They look like these. He's got a nice box, right? Nice sales metaphor. So I am waiting for my son to be old enough to appreciate these and not just the Pokemon cards. That's what I'm looking forward to. And I appreciate the addition to the Grove Family Library. And thank you again, because I think if people knew how to do what you did, there'd be a lot more entrepreneurs out there. Like so my idea from your cards, just so you know, was board game. Get a Trivial Pursuit board, use these as the Trivial Pursuit cards. These are non-trivial pursuits to actually know and understand. And then you can sell that to the freedom and liberty community, because everyone loves a good board game if it's not Monopoly, all the standard stuff. So I think that's who did it? Bobby Kiyosaki. Cash flow game, which I also have. So in today's marketplace, to go from this would get people to buy various series of the cards, to have like the Genus edition of Trivial Pursuit. Remember, they had the Star Wars edition and all that sort of stuff. if you just create the game board that folds, you could sell it separately or as a set, and that's a 7-figure idea, bro.
I just gotta say to James, here, just
He
shut
lives.
up and take
Wait,
my money.
actually,
Here, take my money, man.
he lives near you. He lives near you, McMillan.
Yeah, that's true. You do. You're down in Cyprus. Yeah, on my way.
See? All right. Was that as good for you, James, as it was for the rest of us? Because Plunder World is an idea you brought to reality. And now do you need to just have these placed places? I know the perfect place for those cards. If you were looking for a retail frontage, I'd put them in what they call head shops.
I'm working on all kinds of stuff.
All right.
That's just
All
my
right.
side gig. But
All right.
I'm interested in autonomy for my 9 to 5, and that's that that's the primary focus.
Fantastic. This is such a good, respectable side hustle. I thought it might be your primary
Maybe one day.
when you have a board that they could play the game on. Yeah.
Well, I'm
We can
making
make
a
that
game.
happen.
I
That
am
could be.
making a game. I
All right, you
am.
got it. Okay, you got it. You got rules and stuff. Good. We could
Yeah.
test it out.
Mhm.
Like we do stuff like that here at Autonomy, extracurricular meetings where it's like, oh, James has a board game. First iteration. Let's see. Oh, wait, this thing contradicts with this, and then you come back with version 2 and we play it the next week. You know. So
How about
anyway.
it's the ex-president wife's death circle. That's the game I'm working on.
So I have to figure out when what Lady Bird Johnson had to do with
Oh no, I'd
no.
say it has to
Okay.
do with a certain Clinton family, and everybody loses in this game.
Oh, right on.
Anyway,
Okay. Well, I appreciate the heads up on the business problem that you're looking to solve, and learning how to not talk past the sale is a good skill. How long have you been working in sales and doing that where you think you've been talking past the sale?
off and on about 20 years. It's a familiar pattern that comes up, and it's limited really to um, specific clients that know they want my service, because this isn't basic photo and video work. This is very niche and very exclusive, and I charge for it. But they're a little overwhelmed by what they have to contribute. And
Mm,
then when I offer it as like a one-stop shop, I do everything, but I do need some cooperation.
for sure.
They don't
So
like the
I
price, and they don't like the time commitment.
Oh, okay. Cool. So the way to crack that code is you got to put it back at the beginning with the expectations. And you have to build out the vision such that when they hear, oh, it's going to take some time, I expected that. You described it in the vision that in order for us to be able to do this thing and have it work in this time frame, we're going to have to contribute XYZ during this process. We understand our response. So, and therefore, if I see that vision, I understand the responsibility. I also probably understand the price. And I'm like, dude, that's fair. For what you're delivering for this company in this space, whatever that space is, then that's how they make those decisions. So instead of talking at the end, the over talking means you kind of know that you didn't say that stuff up front. So now you got to fill it in down here. But if you had a better plan, you could just put it at the beginning and make that part of your standard boilerplate that you talk about with every client opportunity. And then once you figure that out, I would say record it once, make that your webinar lead magnet that connects to your ads. And then every time you deal with a client on the phone after that, they've heard precisely identically the same thing so that you didn't forget because you're a human being. I forgot to mention this whole part, and it wrecks the expectations. So I can see that happening too. So at this point, I'd say thank you for the cards. It's a pleasure to make your video acquaintance, and I look forward to season 14 with you.
Thank you, sir.
Uh-huh. Now, who else has a question? Now that I connected that circuitry.
Skilla Villa.
Skillavilla Patrick Villaverde has been outed. There you go.
All right. Hello again.
All right. So what was the artifact I found about you? It was from like 2016 because I found it while you were going through after I think it was after we talked. I sent it to Leah. I was like, "Oh, I just found this while I was packing up the move. I found some correspondence that you had sent back from the Tragedy and Hope days."
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I was curious. your library seems pretty vast, but I haven't. I was curious if you're familiar with Mr. Dave Emery.
Oh, 110% I am.
Oh, okay.
What is the nature of your inquiry?
Well, only one time he talked about the CIA controlling the media from the 1975 congressional hearings, the Church Committee,
Yeah.
and he hadn't mentioned anything about it again in his collections, but it's in the within the first 100. And I thought it was very interesting that he was talking from someone's research that is a listener of his. And so he read the whole thing, and then I decided to see if I could still find it on the internet, and it was in some kind of archive form.
Spitfirelist.org is
Huh.
all his radio archives and
Yeah.
probably transcripts if they've updated it with AI.
I mean, if you go to any of those listed, you click on it, it starts playing in your web browser immediately. But you can't.
The answer to the question that pertains back to what I learned from Dave Emery would be first this book. This is the preeminent source. Wrong button. There we go. Burton Hirsch, The Old Boys, the American Elite, and the Origins of the CIA, where you learn that it's a lot of Wall Street lawyers
Oh,
working for British bankers who created MI6. So there's that part. But then the part about controlling the media, I would leave Burton Hirsch and go to Hugh Wilford, The Mighty
oh
Wurlitzer,
yeah,
how
yeah.
the CIA played America. And then if you're going to Hugh Wilford land, I would go to this other Hugh Wilford book, The CIA, the British Left in the Cold War. Like the British left was running America. This is a whole bunch of the leftist influence we see today. From FDR on was like the emulation of the British Empire. And Dulles, who's pictured here in part,
Oh,
they want you
yeah.
to know who he is. His whole family was Anglo-American, and he, according to John Loftus, John Foster Dulles, I'm sorry, Alan Dulles, got caught in Bern, Switzerland in 1916 during World War I in a honeypot operation conducted by MI6, sleeping with the enemy, and that he could go to prison for the rest of his life or he could be a spy for MI6. I did not make that up. John Loftus told me, and he's seen the records that would facilitate that. And I've seen the contextual history that says that makes a lot of sense for how much power those two brothers, who were very young, got in 1919 at Versailles. That's where they had their start. And from there, Nazi funding, Rockefeller funding of the Nazis, all that stuff was done by the Dulleses. So they got read into the script really early.
I was curious how J. Edgar Hoover seized their bank, and then after the war, he gave it back. I was wondering how that happened.
Yeah, so there's a lot of seizure of Nazi money during the World War II time, but J. Edgar Hoover didn't have the power to keep the guys who funded the Nazis money for that long. So there was Union Banking Corporation, there was Schroeder Bank, there was a bunch of different banks that were participating in helping transfer Wall Street and City of London money into Hitler land back in the day. And it was Nelson Dulles who cut a deal with David Ben Gurion to make sure that the Nazi financing from the Western side of Britain and the UK didn't see the light of day. And they made a little trade back in November of 1947. Does that answer your question, though?
Yes, sir.
I'm lucky I had the right books next to me.
Yeah. Awesome.
Nelson Rockefeller, not Nelson Dulles, says my wife, who's always
Yeah,
right.
that makes sense.
Yeah, that's
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you, baby. I haven't heard much noise from out there, so I just assumed they were eating or something, but she's paying attention to our conversation, Patrick.
Okay.
Now we'll make sure we get the right answers. All right. So did that answer your question? Did you have a
Yes.
sub part, like a follow-up?
Um, Not really, other than that whole situation with Mike Rupert, um, being a witness to things that are going on and walking away from it, which was kind of incredible. And then I forget the name of his last documentary movie,
Well, the first one I saw with him was The Truth and Lies of 9/11. And that's the one that talked about the narco terrorism and had Catherine Austin Fitts in that movie saying, you know, you want the drug trafficking to stop and all this stuff, and here's a red button, and we could do that. But also, it's going to crash your 401k because the entire stock market is invested with these narco traffickers. So you could go ahead and do that thing, but your kids are going to lose their future. Like that whole conversation is in like that 2003 documentary, maybe from back in the day. And that's where I first learned about Mike Rupert, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Truth and Lies of 9/11. And then he had a book called
Collapse.
Crossing the Rubicon.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I think his last documentary was called Collapse or something like that.
And then he passed away from an alleged suicide,
Alleged.
but not Gary Webb style. I mean, I don't remember looking at the medical records, but it may be that they just discouraged him.
Right. Very interesting.
They didn't discourage John Lennon, though. He was definitely shot by the doorman, Jose
Yeah.
Perdomo from Operation 40, and not Mark David Chapman, who was Parent Patsy.
That's the MO.
Well, when you have this guy who sits down and waits for cops, or you've got a guy who's a trained assassin by the CIA who works for the Queen, and John Lennon said no thank you. He snubbed the Queen and said no to his knighthood. Just like somebody recently snubbed a foreign leader and said, no, I don't need to come to your country. I'm all good. All good. But that's a topic for another conversation.
Yeah, cool. Appreciate
Who else has questions, comments, concerns, conundrums?
Don't be shy, y'all.
Who has questions about how to get into season 14 or if it's worth getting into? You have questions you can ask to graduates here. You could just say, I'd like to know from a graduate blank, state your question, and somebody else will just answer you because
I
it's
got
autonomy. Go ahead.
I'm in season 14 already. My name's Phil. I talked to you last
Yeah,
month
hi,
or
Phil.
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I just more of a, I guess, off-topic question, but I noticed a lot of you guys have some nice microphones. I don't know if you have headphones on right now, but
Oh, I do.
what's
See?
what's a good, okay, good, what do they call those ear things?
Yeah,
Not
these are
earphone, earbuds.
Sennheiser like on stage audio monitors. So they have full spectrum audio. So that's like what musicians would use to hear themselves. And it's a similar thing. I'm in a
Mhm.
microphone, I need to hear myself. And I need to hear you. And if I heard you through speakers, it would feed back. And Zoom sometimes cancels it, but as a studio, everyone figures out how to wear earphones, something, unless they use Apple, and then it just works. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I have one of those combo headphone microphone things, but it's probably about 5, 6 years old.
Well, if you can hear clearly, and more importantly, people can hear you clearly, because that's usually the struggle. A lot of earphones or microphone setups you can hear, but your voice is garbled to other people. So just find like what delivers. You don't need the best quality. You just need not to be misunderstood, right? And
Mhm.
so what's the traditional low entry mic was the Yeti, and it was like $100 mic. And there's a couple USB mics now that various people make. And then everybody has these, and I don't have another one around, but there's a Sennheiser, not a Sennheiser, Electro Voice version of the talking mic that most people have. So unless you're going to spend, I don't know, dude, you're talking $500. It's like 350, $400, 100, another 100 for the box that it has to run through, and another 100 for the cloud lifter amplifier that runs off the phantom power so it actually sounds clear. Otherwise, you spent $400 and it sounds worse than your $30 microphone. So that's where it's like, it depends on, are you making money with the quality of your voice and the delivery of your value to people? And if so, then you can justify various expenditures.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I've been looking into. In fact, it's
Yeah.
funny you mentioned that Yeti one. I was poking around Amazon a few days ago, looking at $99. I mean, the reviews look good, but I don't know. I wasn't 100% sure, so I didn't pull the trigger yet.
Yeah, the Yeti's big. So if you want it sitting right in front of you, then it's a good option. If you want to put it on a boom arm, not so good. But I think, who makes this? Sure makes a USB kind of version of this. And then there's one of the companies that makes the push buttony type things, that makes Rode, RODE, would have a USB mic that's like this. And I think LD used to use it for production. That's when he was in when he was in California, he had that set up. But these are all things that you learn along the way, either through autonomies, Q&As, or like the media magic, learning how to do pro media type things that go on during the week.
Yeah, it's one of the things I was going to bring up, but I thought, hey, tonight's I'm on, so why not ask now?
And the answer probably helps other people here, so they don't spend exorbitant amounts of money and get results that are less than quality.
Exactly. So hopefully I help somebody else out there.
Right on. Well played, Phil.
And
Nice
don't
to see
mind
you
me,
again.
just got back from the gym, grungy look.
Hey, don't mind me. I barely got all the paint off my hands to do this interview.
Well, compared to me, you look like a tuxedo. You're in a tuxedo.
I was plastering a bathroom just about 2 hours ago or whatever. So
Been there, done that.
yeah.
All right. Thanks. Great to see you again. And
Yeah,
I'll
great
be
to see you.
looking forward to the season 14.
I'm looking for you guys all meeting each other and finding out
Yeah.
how extraordinary each individual is who made it here.
And she's looking forward to it too.
Awesome. Yeah, not just anybody can make it into autonomy, because there's like, you got to show up for yourself. You watch the primer course. You got to talk to a stranger in a Zoom call, for the enrollment blueprint, plan, stuff like that. So learning how to do those things and doing those for yourself brings you in proximity to other people who are practicing excellence near and long term.
Yeah, I do technical sales, but it's in a niche, so maybe I want to expand that niche.
Yeah, that's what Q&As will do. So when we get to, especially when we get to the sales section, you can say, hey, I heard this thing in tonight's lecture and here's what I'm doing at work. And we'll spend like 5-10 minutes working through it, but everyone else gets to learn from that experience. So it's like, group dynamic, and then they might have better ideas. I might give the good first draft, but that's not the final draft. And somebody might come in and say, I saw that first draft. Here's what you need, Phil, to be able to do that thing. And you might say, that's it.
Yep. Well, I'm here for it, literally.
Well, great to see you. Who else has a question for tonight's event?
We got OG in the house.
What's up, OG?
Hey, what's up? Good evening. Long time listener, first time caller.
Yeah, well played. You've been coming to meetings for a long time. I've seen OG hanging out.
Yeah, yeah. No, I finally rearranged my schedule to focus more on the things that I want to do. And one of my questions was if you didn't come to autonomy with a specific goal in mind, but you just have an idea, are we to like scatter plot a kind of like the artwork that you do with the autonomy brain? Should we like create a mind map? How would you recommend we proceed to synthesizing that goal or idea that we might have or want to run with, so then we can focus and fully commit 100% to reaching that goal?
Well, let's see. It's a
Sorry if
multi-layered
that's a weird question.
No, it's good. It's good. It's a good workout for me. So I'm going to address it like this. Having a brain model will give you experience, but it's going to end up helping you learn whatever's in front of you. Whatever you're trying to organize, it's going to have you ask some questions to find answers, and you're going to be better organized. And that's good for future experience. However, your question is about goals coming into this course. You don't have like goals or a project or anything like, well, that's all specific. So let's call that the runway, right? And where we want to be is like 35,000 feet cruising altitude and know how to navigate everything in between, right? So if this is general up here and this is specifics, you lack the specifics. But when I take you through the generality of how to do these things, you're going to say, this is how I apply that to my life. And that's where you get specific with it. So even if you don't come in with goals, by learning some of these things, you're going to say, oh, I can reach that thing now. I want that thing. How do I get it? And then that's where the other pieces, like, here's the specific steps you could take one after the other to achieve that effect. So good. That's my answer. You don't need a specific goal, and you might not have one by the time you're done with the course, but you will engage with this and have the opportunity to say, "Oh, I see I could make this progress. I think I could do it in this time frame. Let me express that to a friend in mastermind meeting." And when I come back to the mastermind meeting, they're going to say, "Hey, did you get the house painted in a week?" "No, I found out it's going to take longer than that." Or whatever the thing is, right? And then, with that camaraderie that's all voluntary, you're either out busy doing the thing or you're coming back to the meeting because you got stopped on the thing, you have an obstacle and you need some bright ideas. So it's all going to work out just fine.
Okay, thank you. I'm excited and looking forward. So do you feel like it would be good to have a like business I what is it a tax for like a business so you can run everything out of that business separately? Is that
You
next
could,
level? Do you do
you,
that first? Like that's kind of where I'm trying to figure out. Is it better to establish a business so you can have, let's say you want to run a t-shirt business, but you need to a business permit to get the wholesale account to buy, the apparel or whatever.
yeah.
So is that step number one? Like you were saying,
No,
get the
no,
secure the website.
no, but
So
I could see why you would
what
think it
did you do?
is. Okay. So
Right,
the answer to your question is this. A lot of people think starting a business is like file with the town clerk, get your IRS number, get a bank account, all these sort of things. Maybe,
right.
but let me just ask this. Who wants to buy your t-shirts? Because if you can't come up with an idea, put it on a shirt and have people give you money for it, all that other stuff's frivolous waste of time. It's going to put you out of business before you even have an offer people want. So work on your offer. Oh, gee, this guy just said he wants to buy 10,000 of these. If I take a percentage here as a deposit to garner my risk, I can roll that into wholesale pricing over here, but I can't do that at 10 shirts a pop. So, in order to get these other things you want, they're down the road from just finding, I have 10 designs. And if I put an ad on Facebook, every 10,000 people who see the ad, one person clicks. And out of 20,000 people who see the ad, one person buys. Knowing those two things, you could stay in business if you set up a structure to accommodate that. And then after you do that, it's like, yeah, I got to file some taxes. Let me go down and do this thing or get a bank account. But most things you could do with an email address and a password in the internet world. You could set up t-shirt,
Okay.
digital
So
printing
so
on
in theory,
demand.
my
Yeah.
first step would be content and at least 10 designs, you said. Solid concept development with 10 designs ready to go. Okay. Gotcha, bro. Thank you for synthesizing that. You're the man. That's why
And
you're the
or
man.
you could come back with 50 excuses why people don't like your t-shirts, which means you've attempted to move your brand someplace and people said until you have this or I don't like this or I do want this. It's about testing it out. So this is something else you're going to do through your first season of autonomy is like break through these little barriers and you're going to have success sooner. Well played,
Right
OG.
on. Yeah, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah, right on. I appreciate that good question and seeing how it flourishes during the season when you actually get to like do the things, but you got a good first step goal right there. And there might be people in meetings that have interest and they can give you good ideas or feedback or, point you toward a friendly distributor, whole grown organic cotton or all the little things that add up in your offer, right? You're going to need a website, you're going to need materials, you got designs, put the design on a t-shirt, ship it out, receive money. So there's these various steps, but all companies, all businesses kind of need those same steps. So learning the generalities of that infrastructure allows you to then, oh, I know how to spin up a business and do this thing. Oh, I did that. Okay, let me spin up a business and do this thing. Maybe you can spin them up and make them run together and you can have several businesses run concurrently. But that is also very challenging because you can only be in one place at a time. So these are the upsides of growth. New, bigger, better problems to solve and a method to solve them.
Yeah, basic physics puts a damper on that.
Until they make multiplicity a reality. That's a Michael Keaton reference. But if you're going to get into Michael Keaton, I say watch Mr. Mom first, because everything's 220, 221, whatever it takes. And some people need to know what that means. I made Leah watch that clip one time. I'm like, if I'm going to say it all the time, you at least need to know the 1984 cinematic reference that we're talking about here. So,
I mean, Richard, you and I are the same age, and I remember seeing Mr. Mom, but I don't remember the movie very well.
do you remember
Yeah.
WKRP in Cincinnati?
Yeah, yeah.
The guy with the long hair, like the longish hair. What was his name? Do you know?
Yeah, I don't remember. I just
We're
remember
showing
the
our age.
blonde lady.
Anyway, he's the big swinging corporate guy who's wooing Jack. Is the character who's the Mr. Mom character, Michael Keaton. So he loses his job. She has to go back to work. Now he's home with the kids, and she's being wooed by some guy at work, Ron. And so Michael Keaton's like trying to manage the kids, get them breakfast. Everything's going sideways. His wife comes downstairs. A limo pulls up outside. Out comes Ron, the nemesis. So Jack scrambles around to find something mannish to do, because like everything he's doing is domestic work, not thought of as manly. So he grabs like this Detroit Lions hard hat, and he grabs like a chainsaw, and he's like running it. And Ron comes in. He's like, "Arr!" He's like, oh yeah, just making some renovations here, acting all macho. And so Ron says about the electricity, are you doing it all 220? Which means volts, everybody. 220 volts. It's an electricity thing. And Jack, the Michael Keaton character who has no idea about such things, says, yeah, that's right. 220, 221, whatever it takes. And it just, the Ron character needs to say nothing because this guy's an imbecile. There's, even though the corporate CEO guy might not know the handyman stuff, he did. And the other guy, the Mr. Mom, is just like 100% incompetent. But the movie is about Jack's growth and how he becomes a competent husband and father throughout the movie. So, yay, freedom. It's better than Mrs. Doubtfire. I forget how she identifies. Sorry about that.
You used quite a few good movies in throughout Autonomy. Clips. I remember the one from Boiler Room. Was it quite a few? Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
good references.
Some kids spent their wayward years in pool halls. I spent mine in front of a TV screen watching movies. And when I graduated college, I remember putting myself on a mission that I needed to see like all the typical guy movies. I mean, did you see The Guns of Navarone? Have you seen all the spaghetti western? Like I just bought all those DVDs and I would watch, and that was a lot of fun. I watched Casablanca and a whole bunch of great movies from back in the day because there was no internet back then, kids. And you got to do something other than work. I've heard that someplace before. So there's
Yeah,
a lot of movie
exactly.
references. I can speak movies.
Any more questions? Or there we go, Stacy. She's raising her physical hand.
Howdy, Stacy. Go ahead. Oh, you have to unmute though.
Unmute.
There you go.
Can you hear me okay?
You've done the hardest part
Can you hear
already.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, yeah.
5 by 5.
I
Howdy.
know, well, I'm not very literate on the computer. That's Howard Hess, isn't it, Johnny from WKRP? Yeah. Did you hear me?
Yes.
That's Johnny from WKRP.
Yes. Howard, is
Yeah.
that his name? Howard Hess?
Okay. Well, so my question. Yeah, I love that show. I love that show. Yeah, Howard Hess. That's right. I'm not sure what your guys' ages are, but that's definitely my era. The question
I'll
that
be
I
52
have
next month.
is,
That's what I think.
oh, what?
There's
Say it again.
I'll be 52
Yeah,
in
okay.
about a month. And I think there's also
So
a
my
little delay. That's
question-
the other ambiguity.
Stacy, why don't you cut your camera? That way you won't get that.
I think so too. I think so too.
Because then we'll get clear audio.
Okay. Okay. How do you stop? How do I do that? Share screen, is that?
It's right next to the unmute button. So right next to the microphone, there's a little
disable
icon that's
share.
supposed to look like a camera.
Does that help?
Bottom left.
Yes,
Oh,
you got
okay.
it.
Like a stop video? There.
Yeah. There you
Is
go.
that better?
That is fantastic. I
Okay,
think
good.
the audio
Okay,
has
thank
improved
you
for
so much,
everybody.
because I'm not very good
Yeah.
at this at all. Okay, so Oh, yay. I'm so glad. Okay. So I just want to say, actually, thank you to Phil and OG, because I didn't think I had a question. And then when I listened to them, I realized that I did. And that question is, well, first, let me just say I learned about you, Richard, because of a movie I saw called Pyramid of Power.
Oh,
And
right on.
and when I was watching the Pyramid of Power, at the very bottom, it had like where he kind of learned stuff, right? And that was from you. So then I started watching Grand Theft World and listening and whatnot. And then Autonomy came up. And for me, I'm 56. And so I'm going through a stage in my life where I don't know what I want. I don't know anything. But I know I'd like to learn how to learn better, learn more, and learn better. And so I started to, and also build confidence. And that's sort of what autonomy was. So the reason I brought up Phil and OG was because one, Phil was mentioning stuff that you have to have, and I don't know if I mean, I don't even know how to use my computer thoroughly, or my phone for that matter. And so I don't know if I'm supposed to have things before I start the course. And then, okay, good. That's good to know. And then, OG mentioned a goal, and I don't know even if I have that right now, except what I've already said, a goal of self-confidence and organization in my mind. And I'm a very fast thinker and probably ADD, but I'm not diagnosed because I don't believe in a lot of those diagnoses. So, that kind of stuff. So my question is vague, but I think you are capable.
All right. So here's how we handle that. You're doing wonderful so far. You don't need any further equipment to do this course. So you don't need a fancy microphone or any of that type of stuff. Later, should you choose to pursue doing Zoom interviews or
Okay.
broadcasting or streaming, then you might get some equipment. As far as other expectations, like it's about if you can show up and just hear the call, you don't even need to see it. So technically, a phone with on speakerphone, and you can go about your daily life, and most of it is supposed to be active listening skills. And then if you want to see the references on the slides, that's a nice to have. But I designed it so you don't have to be in front of a screen or a computer the whole time, because that would infringe. It would give people an excuse not to take autonomy. And I went through, collected everybody's excuses. Then I figured out how to make the excuse go away. And then I made my offer. And that's why the offer was successful, because I went out and collected, like, hey, I want to teach this and it's going to take, a couple hundred hours or whatever it took. And people are like, oh, I don't have that in my schedule. Okay. Well, what else don't you have time in your schedule for? Success. So you work through the various objections, or I don't have the money. Great. How long are you expecting to go through life not having money? Are you planning to keep that? Like, is that a skill? Or should we get rid of that as fast as possible and learn how to make some money? So once you go, uh, you know, real talk. So once you go through, and then that's how I was able to craft the offer in the first place, then, kind of improve upon it, iterate it, mutate it with various bonuses. So, same core curriculum, but different bonuses that might come in the package. And then you can keep like an evergreen offer that doesn't get stale in the marketplace. It's kind of the challenge. But for you, all your questions, like you're overthinking it. You're going to be fine, and you're already doing wonderfully well.
Yeah.
And Chris, would you give Stacy some feedback? Because, like, you're not the most introverted person, but you still have a little bit of introversion. Chris is pretty much like, he used to travel various foreign countries, learn their language, and find a job and support himself. So introverts stay home. We don't even go out and do those things. So but he still has those aspects. So can you relate to what Stacy was identifying, and help set everyone at ease that none of that is really necessary? As long as we can hear you
Yes.
clearly and you can hear me, you're good in my book. But go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, Stacy, just unmuting there, what you just did was a huge step. And I don't think you realize just how big of a step that was. You're going to be fine. If you had a question, it came up, you were listening to the others, you were listening, taking in the feedback, and then it came up. That's it. I mean, just overcome it, get over it, and just do it. I don't mean to quote Nike, but it's unnerving to unmute. It really is, because yeah, it's a classroom, and we're all sitting in a circle looking at each other.
But there's
So
layers of
Very-
it though, right? So there's the trepidation you might have to unmute in this meeting. And then there's the trepidation I might have to like press all these buttons, make all this happen. And what if I get up here and, oh, I can't talk right now. Oh, I'm in a panic attack. Oh my goodness, you know? So if I don't get myself past that, I can't come to the desk either. You have to be like, dismiss as arbitrary. Nice try, stage fright. I give you the Heisman and I'm going to go serve these people with the high quality of information with excellence. So that's my version of unmuting for you. So there's always more layers to be built. So we might as well not cling to that layer and go to the next one and see what we can do.
Stacy, in season, I can't remember. It was later in
Yeah,
Autonomy. Richard Grove asked me,
yeah.
um,
Thank you so much.
You're
can
welcome.
you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there's a delay, Chris.
I was-
That's all.
Okay. Stacy, I was telling you in the class, Richard asked me to interview G. Edward Griffin because he was a guest with the Autonomy group and he was there and I was just getting into interviewing. And I had at the time, I had no front teeth at all and I had bad internet. And, I just did it anyway. I just hid my mouth behind the microphone and if you know that I don't have any teeth in that interview and you look, you can see, you can tell. But if you don't know, you can't even notice. And the bad internet at the time, I was in the exterior building. I just, I slowed down, I popped out, I just came back in. But yeah, Richard was really hard on us about overcoming excuses and just getting on with it.
It's gonna be
That's
lot of
a really
fun.
good story, Chris. Thank you. That makes me feel better.
Okay, so I got one for you. This one's for my wife. The other day, she's out driving around. There's like the car engine. Remember I was telling you about the wire that came off? This is the other side of that story. So these things flash. She's trying to pull over. It's like country road, not a lot of space. She hits this poor fellow's mailbox. It's like a little decoration on the car. So she's leaving a note for the guy, right? Because that's the response. That's what responsible people do. So the guy calls her back and leaves her this voicemail,
Yeah.
which is the point of my story. This guy has had his mailbox hit dozens of times. This is only the second time anyone's even left a note. And he actually had his extra mailbox out there because his other one smashed and he's repairing it in the garage. So he's got a whole system of mailbox that he swaps out. It made her feel better because it's a common thing. 'Cause, maybe the mailbox should be like when the car hits it, it should just swing away. Farm mailboxes typically are on an arm and they swing out and come back. So maybe that guy should just upgrade his mailbox. I don't know. But things happen. You don't cry over spilt milk. I said, I know how to fix most of this stuff. And if not, I know someone that can help fix it. So it's not a big deal. And I'm sure that the other moms that she was with, their husbands would not be so calm, cool, collected and would probably yell or start a fight, right? I was like, oh, not a big deal. You guys are okay? You didn't hurt anybody else? Great. Best case of a worst case scenario, right? Okay, I'm signed up for that. So I'll do a little body repair on a car or whatever needs to be done because I have skills. And yeah, real life, real skills.
So the best part of that story is that your wife, she was honest, and then in return, she got a compliment for her honesty.
Yes. And she does
That's
that on a
pretty badass,
regular basis.
actually.
Yeah, she is badass. That's how she rolls. That's why I
Yeah, that was
chose
good.
wisely. Yeah. Long time ago.
Stacy, I just want to add that hammers in another very important lesson that Richard teaches in autonomy is the power and the importance of integrity. It is very, very important. And until
Yeah.
before autonomy, it was hinted at in Peace Revolution. There was a whole episode about integrity where you start with the closing Ron Paul's final speech, and I didn't get it at the time, but I listened to it. And then in autonomy, integrity, and as I continued after autonomy, that lesson just keeps coming hammering home, and it's a mantra to live by. Integrity.
Without it, everything falls apart.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm here. So. Yeah, yes, definitely. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, fantastic. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Congratulate yourself in this room full of strangers that you just did the thing. That is literally the hardest thing you had to do all season. Everything else is much easier. All you have to do is show up for yourself and be excellent, and all these other good things can follow. Well played, and that's a great example for people who didn't unmute tonight and are watching it on the replay maybe or something like that. So next time we have a get together, you guys will know how it works. Also, Stacy, I think that's probably the last time you have to raise your hand, because once we start the season, we don't raise hands anymore. We just conduct ourselves like mature adults and we get words in between the other sounds in the sentence. It's a skill, right? Some of us are better at it than others. I used to interrupt Tony
That's
like
good.
all the time because I could. He's my
Yes.
friend. I can cut him off. I got a thought I'm gonna say. So we all have improvements to make, and this is my favorite place to work out.
It's like
And with all
Greg's
that
got
being
her hand
said,
up.
who? What do you got? I can't
Greg's.
see. I was about to close the meeting, McMillan. I was about to throw to you and say thank you, but now you want to recognize. I can't see the Q&A screen. I'm in the dark here. There was a time when I could. I'm quoting Scent of a Woman, Al Pacino. Not very well with the accent, though. You couldn't have got it. Grex, you have a question? Oh, but you're muted. Go ahead. Unmute the bottom lower corner.
You're unmuted on Zoom. You must be hard muted on your computer.
Ooh. We're close. Thank you, Leah. That's like a clue. That's almost like the phone a friend.
Check on the bottom left where it says audio, and there's a little triangle. It's a caret. Pop that open and see if you're on the microphone or the headphones that you have on.
I'm going to take off the headphones.
It works. We can hear you.
I've got a new set of headphones and it usually works. And then sometimes it makes it so I can't hear anybody, and sometimes it makes it so nobody can hear me. So thank you for reminding me of that. Yeah, I'm new to autonomy, so I'm just trying to get a lay of the land. But I'm just like, some people have been following you for a long time. It's kind of all new to me.
Good.
One thing you're talking about with session 14 is this being the last time that you do lifetime membership. And
We
just
are going to have, we're changing all the packages. So this traditional package that we've done for the first 13 seasons that had lifetime enrollment as part of the 3 basic packages is going to expire with the season that's starting now. And then to get a lifetime membership, it would be a much more substantial investment over, other offerings that we're adding in to embolden autonomy. Does that make sense? Because I almost felt like Kash Patel when he said fixed wing aircraft, and it's like, oh, you mean plane? Like you could boil it down and use less syllables. But I was trying to give you a good answer. So
well, I was curious more just what is behind that, like why shift away from it, and like what are you shifting to?
Oh, well, first off, when it's lifetime enrollment, I have to keep. So let's say McMillan has been through 13 times, but he paid in once a long time ago. And so after I have 1,000 of those situations, I have to look at the overhead that I carry every month and say, in order to keep employing fine people and doing fine work, we're going to need to account for some of this expense that has been piling up and structure it into new offerings, which in some ways will lower the barrier to entry, but in other ways, they're going to have to go through more steps to get what everyone else was just getting with an autonomy season. So it's
Okay.
part meeting the demands of the market, because when people are ready, willing, able to engage in the various packages, that's great. But there's a lot of people that still want the service or the education, but we haven't offered a formulation that fits their needs. So we have to keep taking feedback from the audience and say, okay, well, we reached 20% with these offers. This other 80% that's interested, like, how do we help them? In some cases, it's give people some free starting points so they can start to build the areas of wealth that they have direct, like, agency over, control over: patience, politeness, consideration, preparedness, mental paying attention, all these sort of things. That if you start bringing these qualities to the game all the time, people are going to find that valuable. And then you start to have a better relationship with the market and you say, what else could I do beyond here? Well, from those modalities of wealth you can build yourself, it's like now you can go into the market, solve big problems, bring some wealth in a monetary form. But there's some people who are so poor, all they have is money. And I don't want to be one of those people, but I also need to have enough money to pay overhead and good ideas. And when I want to help somebody charitably, I want to have the money to be able to do that. So I have to go make my offer more times to the market than I need yeses from the market. And that's part of what we teach here.
So would it also make it more accessible for people to start? Do you know what I mean? Like it's because I imagine that this is the price point here can be a barrier for a lot of people.
The
So I
price point is it's going to be similar, but the difference is it'll have a recurring fee for the community aspect. So they might get access to course materials, but the community, which has layers of administration and moderation and like there's support, people who answer the support emails and all that good stuff. So it's just about trying to keep that in proportion and meeting what the market is finding like lucrative and popular right now. There's a lot of people using subscription models. So
yeah.
the price to get into the course is high for some people, very low for other people. I've had people come into this course and say, whatever the package was for them, they're like, I spent 25 grand on the weekend seminar. He's telling me I'm too cheap. I do 12 weeks plus 3 bonus weeks and all this extra stuff. And it's like a fraction of that price. So my point would be, if I don't make the price high enough that people have to really try and it's a struggle, then they don't take it seriously and put it on their calendar and show up. If I offer this course for 99 bucks, everybody buys, no one takes it. Can we all agree? I didn't make that rule. That's just how it works. But if I make you like stand on your tippy toes and you're like, I got to reach, I'm going to put that in my calendar. I'm putting a reminder. I'm going to do my homework. I'm going to suck the value out of this and make it pay off for itself and repeat. And that's the whole key. Can you invest in yourself here and make 10x with it here? Yes, you can. Now, where can you do that in life? And how many times can you do that in life? Those are also aspects of it. So the fee I charge for the past couple of years is nearly identical to the fee I paid 30 years ago for a smaller set of skills. And so you guys get more skills and way more value. And I know how, like, that gave me a 200 times return on investment in the first 5 years. I need more of those decisions in my life. And once you understand that, then it's a lot easier to say yes to the offer for people who see it scarcity. Like, if it's my last 5 grand and I'm spending it on autonomy and I don't know how to make autonomy make me 10, 15, 100, $200,000 this year, I might not enroll. But if I'm like, I'm down to my last 5 grand and I put it into something I can learn how to magnify it everywhere. All right. Sounds like a good deal. I should do that. That's probably my best plan. Cause otherwise I'm just going to eat, chicken wings, pizza, and watch football games or whatever people are doing out there. So by purposefully putting your money in a place where you want to value it in the future, I just call that that's smart investing with yourself. Does that answer your question though?
Yeah, thank you. No, I just, like you say, a lot of people are going to subscription. So I just wanted to hear, I guess, from you what your reason was for it.
Sometimes you got to change some stuff to find like what the next thing is. So I know that there's people who've seen our offer in its present form for the past 13 seasons, and they didn't say yes to season 14 yet. And I need to figure out like what are the things that we can, outfit them with, and what order of operations do they need, this first or this first. It's like you're trying to pick a lock. So I make a presentation from lead into gold, right? I made that one after, so I thought that was an answer. And I made that after fear is optional. Cause I'm like, people aren't doing it because they're afraid. So let's go through and obliterate and give them methodologies to get rid of fear in various areas so they can move forward. And that helps some people get past their fear and move forward. And then you magnify these things as you keep creating because they're all out there in a library. And then people can find, oh, that's the one I need right now. How to get back up and brush yourself off after you lost a job or whatever the topic might be. Instead of me trying to guess what they need, I can just provide, here's what we have, and they could, it's like a buffet or a menu. But if I don't put it in the buffet for them to see it, they can't choose it.
I get it. Thank you.
Right on. Thank you. All right, Chris, now, go ahead. Did you have
Can I ask you one other question?
For sure.
It's totally separate from that. I'm just curious if you're familiar with Jason Fladlin and all his stuff about webinars, creating webinars. If this is like if there's a similarity in approach or if there's difference and first I guess if you're familiar with them or not. So
I'm not familiar.
okay.
However, there are many people who have a niche where they do something special. I'm going to teach you about webinars in weeks 10, 11, 12, maybe in the bonus weeks 13, 14. You will have any number of ways to implement webinar. A webinar in our speak is just something that you would have to repeat every time you onboard a new client. Whether it's real estate or accounting, whatever the profession is, there's certain things we need to say to onboard people. What if we just get that right one time, really thoughtfully, and then we just say part of our onboarding process is you go through this mini course, kind of like the primer course that you guys went through to get to this point. So I would have to repeat all those things every time I talk to someone, or I could have you go through the primer course. Now we can have a real conversation. What didn't you understand? What didn't I cover that should be in there? Because I'm going to improve it again. 6 months from now, we'll improve it. And yeah, it's all just part of walking the walk. These are the things we do to get from A to B.
Cool. Thank you.
Oh, you are most welcome. Now, at this point, Mr. McMillan, I'm going to congratulate you on holding an event where we did the thing, we did it right, we did it with excellence, we answered some questions. Do you have any further requirements for my time? Because I'm ready for dinner at this point. I put it off till after this because I didn't want to shovel food right before I had to do an interview. That's not good. Can't do that. But I'm at the point where I'm getting hungry and I smell tacos and stuff out there. So am I free to go, Chris?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. I just want to thank Leah and Aaron. I want to thank Leah for getting me out of my, putting me on the court, so to say, and getting me back into this space of which I've missed. And it's always great to see you and talk to you, Richard. And it's
Thanks for coming
always
out to play, Chris.
yeah, yeah. I
Because this is
appreciate
probably
all
the
y'all.
easiest thing both of us have to do all week.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Hold on, it's Friday. The week's over. So yeah,
No, for you, maybe. My week
yeah,
starts on the weekend.
yeah, yeah. Very good, Richard. No, it's
All
always
right,
good.
so
This is
we have
great. I appreciate it.
we have no more screenings on Friday night. Next thing we have is the global meet and greet, and that's coming up quickly. If there's anyone here who is not yet enrolled, but you're in the enrollment process, you're in good hands. And if you have any questions, you can ask Leah. Leah, do you want to provide a contact, or how do you want to do that? I just left you out hanging there.
Yeah, you can. I'll put my email in here for anybody who needs any further assistance with anything for season 14. So I'll put that right here.
Whatever
Fantastic.
page got us here tonight had a couple more dates, even going into October, which I didn't, it seemed like it went even.
Oh yeah, there'll be more quests, but we were
Okay.
also running autonomy screenings on Friday nights, and we just played the last movie last week. So now it's just quest and autonomy on Friday nights.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we're sliding down the slope into the new season. And we're going to have the worldwide welcome celebration with featuring grant presents.
So
And
yeah, it's a musical concert and global meet and greet all wrapped in one.
They're two separate events this time.
Oh, thank you. There you go.
Yeah, then the following week, we did that 1 week. We do that in the spring when we're crunched for time because of the Pork Fest schedule offsets us by a week.
That's right.
Yeah, but in the fall, we've got a little more time. So then we're going to do the next week. We'll do the meet and greet where all the new students get to meet the graduates. And then that Sunday, we reverse it and all the new students get to come into the Sunday Q&A. And then the following week, the lectures begin. So there's a few more weeks of time if anybody needs to, meet with the blueprint coach, talk, get a custom offer, get a package. We are all about it right now. So we'll hook it up for you.
Fantastic. Well, I look forward to seeing most of you soon on a recurring basis because things are winding up. So we'll do the concert, then we'll do the meet and greet, then we'll do lecture 1. If you missed the concert, shame on you, but there's a replay. And if you missed the meet and greet, shame on you, but there's a replay. You get the point. When you're there live doing the thing with the other people, it's like a 10. And if you watch the replay, it's like an 8.5. So it's up to you how you want to roll. And with all that being said, I'd like to thank you guys all for tuning in and not dropping out. I will see some of you guys Sunday night for Grand Theft World to play us out. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Good night.
Rock on.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you all.
Night, everyone.
Thank you, Chris. Great job. Really wonderful. So great to see you and everybody
you.
here. So good to see you all. Thank you so much.
Good night, everyone. Thank you, Leah. Thank you,
Thank you.
Richard. You're still there.
Good night, everyone. Good night, John Boy. That's a Walton's meme. Go ahead.
Thanks.
Ah,
for
see,
keeping
Walton's gets
team.
good people laughing right there.
That
Good night,
was
John
funny.
Boy. Yeah, see, 12 more weeks of this. I'm here
Good.
all week. Try the
Look
veal.
forward to it. It's going to be fun.
All right, see you guys soon.
See you Sunday. Bye.